Hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna keep pushing. So Karmelo Anthony, young man, just hold on tight, because the appeal has already been submitted. Okay, the appeal has already been submitted. Investors, like I told you, I don't know when you find me, but I told you that I was going to use my channel for Shador Sanders and for anybody in the community that needed my help. And as you can see, I'm standing on my word, and I'm not, gosh. And I feel really it's an honor for a time like this to already be established, monetized, and have a voice on YouTube where I can speak. Also, for anyone that come across this video, give my opinion on this commentary, because good gracious, some of the things that have been said on social media has been a disgrace. If Deshaun Watson is one for business purposes, Shador Sanders is two for talent. Hey, I think we're still going to have a good winning record, and y'all, it's still going to go down in history, Cleveland Brown history, with the winning record that we're going to get this year if sports betting does not come and play a major part into this. But we're gonna continue to cover that. What's up, Justine? Where you been? They're asking for a Secret Service to get involved. Everybody is crying for Donald Trump to get involved. Listen, this is going to be one of the easiest cases to be overthrown and appealed. What you say, Mel? I was wondering about that. Usually you have a sentencing hearing, right? I thought that was strange and unorthodox. AI said it doesn't have it. AI couldn't give me one case where somebody was found guilty and sentenced in the same day. Hey, go out. If you're using AI, I use. Hey, what's up, Vestas? How are y'all doing on this Good Friday? The information I have for you today, I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be very compelling over here. Tony Talks Best. How are we going to do it? We come to the stage. Let me go ahead and come to the stage. And I just want to let you know, hold on, let's see here. There we go. Hey, I just want to let you know, I have watched hours and hours and hours of different content regarding this case. And the last live that I did, when I said that the federal government should take over this case, and also it should be a federal intervention, I got proof based off everything that I've heard from witnesses, off of Lakeisha, from an actual lawyer. I've looked at 2 or 3 videos that comes from another content creator, No Captivity with Freezy. I've heard from that. And also, most importantly, I have heard from the video from CourtTV regarding a prior prosecutor. I think he's either a current or a prior appellate judge, and he had some very compelling remarks about Judge John Roach, who I'm hearing that he may have abruptly retired. I'm not sure. So don't quote me on that. But even if he hasn't, and even if he has, based off the information that is coming out of this case, it doesn't matter if he retires or if he's going to retire. He still should be subpoenaed and questioned by federal investigators about everything that has happened in Collin County. Now, if you're not familiar with my platform, I have to cover a small segment here that's going to regarding my channel. Is for the algorithm. So just hold on, and I'm immediately going to jump into the Karmelo Anthony information and segments that I've been able to gather over 9 to 12 hours of content. So out of respect of the content creators, I'm going to give them a credit for their work. I'm going to tell you where I got the information from before I play the snippets, because hey, we're all a team and we're going to keep pushing for the freedom of Karmelo Anthony. Like I said, I was a sports content creator, and just like I use my platform for Shador Sanders and the saga that he went through the NFL, I feel as a time like this, it is an honor to be able to use my platform in justice for Karmelo Anthony. So just give me 1 second, 1 to 5 minutes, so I can just cover this other article regarding the NFL and the litigation and the lawsuits that they're going to, and then I'm going to automatically jump into the Karmelo Anthony information that I've dug up. Y'all, and I want to tell you this. Woo, that video that I saw on No Captivity with Freezy, he had guests come up on his platform last night, and there were several ones that added very variable key elements and information that came out of the courtroom, because we know that media and camera and recording devices was not allowed into the actual courtroom. Now, there is 2 things that came out of that video last night, and the video didn't end to 2:30. So forgive me if my voice is still raspy. It only took 30 minutes for them to convict Karmelo Anthony. 30 minutes. Well, Tony Talk vested up. I thought, it came out that it only took 3 hours. It took 30 minutes to convict him, and it took the extra 2 hours and a half to sentence him. You hear me right. It took 30 minutes to convict this star football athlete. He was the captain of the team. It took them 30 minutes to convict this captain of the track team. It took 30 minutes to convict this young man by the name of Karmelo Anthony, with no criminal background, no behavioral problems, with a 3.7 GPA, 21 scholarships. It took them 30 minutes to give this young man 30 minutes to give this young man 35 years behind prison. Now, I'm going to ask everybody that come across this video and that's following this case, whatever is going on behind the backgrounds, be patient and give it time, because the same thing that Collin County has did with this case by rushing it and being too aggressive, we don't want the appellate court and the next private attorney that the family hires, and Presalis, if he's going to remain the court appointed attorney for the appellate court, we want them to take their time, because if they don't, if this thing is rushed the same way that Collin County rushed through this case and wrongfully, I'm going to say wrongfully, convicted and overcharged this young man, we don't want this to happen in the appeal. So I'm asking everybody in the community that's following this case to allow everybody behind the scenes to take their time. We don't want no technicalities. We don't want no violations. We know that this is a high visible case. You cannot tell me, based off what I'm going to show you this morning, because I normally come on at night, that the federal government is not monitoring this case. One is because we already know that evidence submitted in this trial has been manipulated and doctored. And let me tell you one thing about this video. Since they want us to play their games, that video that everybody saw in the courtroom, right? And we've been saying, free the video. Yeah, we still gonna holler and scream, release the video, the whole entire video. But since they want us to play their game, I got some information about that video. And just off that video alone, if that is the crux of the prosecutor's case, just off that alone, that mistake, the federal government, I'm begging them to go ahead and intervene after the proper paperwork is done. Let me tell you one thing about the federal government. Even if they have not been requested to intervene officially, they can go ahead and request an informal, submit an informal inquiry. Hey, what is going on down there in Collin County? I'm hearing that civil rights of Karmelo Anthony has been violated. I'm bringing that up because That is one condition on when the federal government can intervene. And I'm also asking for your patience this morning. I'm not going to hold you long. I'm going to try to keep this under 2 hours. There's so much information, and I want to make sure I don't rush through this, because who knows, maybe you're going to hear something that I missed or I didn't hear. And if so, come after this video, drop it in the comments, and I will address this. And to all of the new investors and viewers, thank you for all of your comments. Hey, you have requested me to go over these videos, and I'm going under these videos. And some of these things I have put together as a layman. For all of the ones that say, oh, a woman, you're just a armchair lawyer. Not one time have I said that I'm a lawyer. I'm definitely not a lawyer, but I'm definitely a professional in my career. And I have been on juries before, and who knows, this information that I'm going to cover for educational purposes only, since we playing those games, educational purposes only, who knows, I may get called to a jury 2 and 3 months down the road. You may get called to a jury 2 or 3 months down the road. And the information I'm going to cover, at least it'll be reference points. And hey, who knows, information that you also can use if you ever get called to be on a jury such as this. And for everybody in Texas, based off a Lakeisha interview with the black lawyer that's actually in Texas, I didn't get her name, but her channel is the Public Opinion Court, Texas. And I'm screaming Texas, 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 Texas. In November, in the midterms, if you're not a registered voter or a registered voter, there's going to be 3 seats open for the Texas Court of Appeals. If you just go out there and vote, you can swing those 3 seats to be in your favor, Karmelo Anthony favor, not based on race, but based off, let me slow down, judges that would take their time and actually go over cases properly and just do their due diligence. That's what they're open for, right? That's why they have licenses for, right? So Texas, I'm going to beg you in November, if you haven't registered to vote, register to vote, because you can swing those 3 seats. And I'm going to play that clip of that black lawyer. She said it's going to be 3 seats in November that the county, that Texas can swing in terms of favor for this case, your case, and the next person's case. This is not about black and white, wink, wink, okay? But this case right here, Karmelo Anthony is a political prisoner. I'm going to say it with my chest. That's my opinion. And I'm going to say he has definitely been railroaded by Collin County. So before I go into that, let me go ahead and discuss this real quick. It's only going to take 3 minutes to read this article, and then I'm going to go ahead and start jumping into the Karmelo Anthony information that I've gathered, okay? So go ahead and get your notes, your drink, and your vest, because we stay vested up over here 365 degrees at Tony Talks Vested Up Compelling Sports Edge. Let me go in and do my due diligence for the algorithm, and we're going to continue to move forward with the Karmelo Anthony. But that is the baseline. That is the baseline. Now, this is not the only lawsuit that I follow. This is the only case outside of the NFL that I cover. So I do cover other investigations and lawsuits. So just bear with me. Bear with me. Now, if you have been part of this channel or not, the Department of Justice is already in the NFL's locker rooms and records regarding the price gouging of all of these games that they require us to look at for the NFL. Now, you can't tell me that the Department of Justice, and I'm going to bring this home real quick. I'm going to tie the knots for you real quick. You can't tell me that the United States Department of Justice, if they're paying attention to the price gouging of the NFL and all of these streaming services, you can't tell me that the Department of Justice is not looking at this particular case going down in Collin County. You would be a fool not to think that the Department of Justice is not already behind the scenes, may have already requested formal inquiries, informal inquiries to find out exactly what's going on in Collin County. Now, let me go and bring this up right here. and then we'll move on to the Karmelo Anthony case. But this is for the channel, okay? So Sunday ticket appeals ruling could come at any time. All right, the article is NBCsports.com. And I want to get to this right here. Come to find out, the Gruden's case and the Brian Flores lawsuit have actually entered discovery phase. So everybody that's followed this channel, we already know about Brian Flores and all the information that we've already covered over here. Brian Flores should go ahead immediately, if the NFL is not settling behind the scenes for him regarding racial discrimination, because they won't hire any black coaches, right? Hiring practices and all the other despicable things that we've covered over here. Brian Flores should definitely be walking away with $1 billion plus in that confidential settlement that we should hear very soon by the end of this year. Now, Tony Talks vested up. Why did you say $1 billion plus? Because if the NFL settled with Missouri, I think it's Missouri, when the LA Rams left Missouri to move to Inglewood, California, if they can pay the citizens or Missouri $790 million, Brian Flores already have them by the neck. Because Brian Flores, let me tell you how deep it's gotten. His first attempt or motion for discovery, and these are legal terms, so please catch note what I'm saying. His first motion for discovery was denied in 2023, right? But his second attempt for motion of discovery was granted. And that was, I'm going to say, roughly about 2 months ago. Now, in his first motion of discovery and his first court case, he only subpoenaed roughly 4 to 6 NFL teams. But because he kept moving forward and because his lawyers took the time, hear what I'm saying, took the time to do everything right behind the scenes, he has gotten approval for discovery for over 1,000 documents from the NFL, and the number of teams have increased from 4 to 6 to 25 NFL teams because how they've been doing black coaches. And who knows, in those documents, I'm pretty sure it's in there, it could be more information on how they do black players, black quarterbacks, and even Shador Sanders. This is not, trust me, like I said, if the Department of Justice is paying attention to the NFL regarding the Brian Flores case, the Gruden case, prices regarding all of these NFL drafts and Sunday tickets, the U.S. Department of Justice is definitely paying attention to the Karmelo Anthony case. So there we go. And the ruling could be significant. 2 years ago, a jury found that the NFL violated the antitrust laws through the pricing of Sunday tickets. If the Department of Justice is paying attention to this, you know they paying attention to the Karmelo Anthony case. Just hold one. The league's goal was to price at a level that discouraged consumers from buying it instead of watching whatever games were available in their local markets on CBS and Fox. So if you're not one of my original investors and subscribers to this channel, I may be talking over your head, but this is something that I have to cover for all of my viewers, investors here, and also for the algorithm. Now, this is what I want to also tell you this, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people watching this that you love football or you know somebody that loves football. The jury in the Sunday ticket case entered a $4.7 billion verdict, which by law can be tripled to $14.1 billion when it is a formal judgment. The judge threw out of the award, but not the finding of the antitrust violation. So if you have ever purchased NFL Sunday tickets or paid for anything on streaming platforms, you may get a refund. But I know for sure an appeal, a judgment or settlement or something, a ruling may come down any day now regarding what the NFL has done in terms of these streaming platforms and these prices. Now, let me go ahead and move into the Karmelo Anthony segment of this live. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let me go ahead and bring my slides up. I want this picture right here. I want this picture right here. I want you to focus on this picture before I actually get to my slides. And I thank God that my slide deck stopped right here, y'all. I want to bring up the tool that is in this case. Yes, I'm going to say tool. It was not a knife. It is not a knife. It was a multi-tool. There is officers that testimony that provide testimony in the trial over 2 weeks ago that said it was a multi-tool. There was an officer by the name of Officer Cortez and another officer, I didn't catch his name, that said they even use that to cut seat belts when they come upon, let's say, an accident and people are caught in the car and they need to cut seat belts or use the tool for whatever. So let's just get this right. And I agree with everybody. Stop saying it was a knife. It was a utility tool. In the military, we called it a Gerber tool. We called it a Gerber tool, and I want to highlight this tool here. This tool is not illegal, and a lot of people carry this. I went on Walmart.com, and you know what, Walmart, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you know how I know that this tool is exactly what was used in the case? Because before this case and it came out that this particular utility tool was used in the incident, and I definitely gonna stand by this, in the self-defense incident that Karmelo Anthony was executing that morning. He had a right to execute self-defense because he was getting jumped. Walmart, before this case, this particular tool was $14.99, $17.99. Sometimes you could catch it on sale at Black Friday for $9.99. You know what the average price in Walmart right now for this tool is? Around $37. Some of them are $47. Some of them now is even $50. Walmart, what are you doing? I'm sorry, Wally World. What are you doing? So there was 2 officers that testified that it was a utility tool in the case, not a knife. It was the prosecutor that was conducting wordplay in the trial by saying, even though the officer said it was a utility tool, he always, when in his line of questioning, he always referred to a knife. He know what he was doing. He know what he was doing. He know what he was doing. Let's keep pushing. Oh, let's talk about this. This also came out in the, I think it was No Captivity with Frenzy video clips that I got. How come the actual weapon was not shown to the jury? They showed a replica of the utility knife, a utility tool, and they showed a picture of the actual weapon, right? Tool, right? Why is that? Why is that? So some other viewers last night, they was confused and say, well, was it the real utility tool or not? No, it wasn't. You know why I know it wasn't it wasn't the real one? And Queen 88 and the other guests on his platform, and even No Captivity with Freezy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing these guests to come on your platform. They didn't have to say nothing else. When they said this right here, when they said that the prosecutor, because they was like, well, was it the real one or was it a picture? It was all that minus the real tool. They said that the prosecutor, and I knew this was like, yeah, this ain't the real tool. They said that the prosecutor, when he reached into the bag to pull out the replica, I knew right then and there it wasn't the real one. So where is the real tool? Why they're not showing the real tool? Why? And y'all, I got evidence. The actual real tool, I think, y'all. For those that's just finding me, you may not know my background, But there is a college course, and you can take this course also in technical schools, right? It's called forensics biology. Forensics biology, right? And I got something also for the ones that may feel that Collin County may doctor up the actual footage with AI. There is something in cybersecurity called mobile forensics. Mobile forensics. Please catch down what I'm putting out. Please. I'm dropping so many jewels in 3 and 4 different professions this morning. There is something called mobile forensics. And I'm going to leave it right there. So you don't have to worry about if the actual video is doctored. The United States government, they have technology where they can run that video through whatever software and it can tell if it's been doctored. Listen, I don't want to hear from Collin County when the federal government gets involved formally or informal that the video has disappeared. I don't want to hear that or accidentally erased. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Collin County, because you was too aggressive in this case and you had the aggression against Karmelo Anthony for whatever reason, you are messed up. You have definitely messed up. If you was not on the federal government radar before this case, you're definitely on the federal government radar now. That's why you can't tell me that the federal government, the U.S. Department of Justice, is not monitoring this case right here. So now I pause right there. I'm gonna pause right there. Let me go ahead and tell you why I know they're watching. Matter of fact, this case is too big. The case is just too big for them not to monitor, right? Let's see. Let's go right here. Let's go and start this first video right here while I get to my actual slides. So if they, going back to what I said in the prelude, if they want to play the game about the video, right? The blurry video. I know y'all seen this video from Cody Thompson. Now, Cody Thompson, I didn't want to hear it because I'm like, I know you didn't see the right tape. But I said, you know, I had to put my emotions to the side. And I said, just sit back and listen. If you let them sit back and if you just sit back and let them talk, any of them talk, they'll start telling on themselves. Or they just start telling information that they probably didn't want to get out there. But let's go ahead, since they said there's not another video and that we should only focus on the video that the jury saw. Let's go ahead and hear what Cody Thompson said, who is, I'm going to say, a media representative connected with CourtTV. Let's just hear what he said. And also, let's just hear, I didn't catch his last name. His first name is Vince. Well, I didn't know Vince was a prior prosecutor. So let's just see how this conversation started in this 1 hour video. No, I don't have the 1 hour video. I think I only have maybe 3 important clips. So I got important clips from CourtTV. I got important clips from Lakeisha channel with the black attorney out of Texas. And I got clips from No Captivity with Freezy. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Come on up to the stage.
At the courtroom, the evidence hasn't been released, so the public is going by what people are saying, and there are a lot of people out there with an agenda on both sides who can describe what they believe they saw. Cody, you have no agenda other than telling us what you saw and what you observed. So why don't you describe for us what you saw when the video was played and what was testified to about that video? Because this is an important piece of evidence. And, you know, you've got people saying that it's very clear in the video what happened here.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the most important piece of evidence.
Now, listen to that. People are saying it's clear what happened in the video. Nah. If they want us to play this game, if they want us to only focus on this video, let's see what Cody Thompson said about the video. Come on, Cody.
It's kind of the crux of the whole case here. But the thing about this video, Vinnie, and the prosecutors admitted this before it was presented while that forensic video analyst was on the stand, is that the video is not the best quality.
Really?
First of all, it's one of those, you know how a football stadium is set up and you have the big tall light posts that light the whole stadium. It seems like it's a camera on one of those light posts on the opposite side from where everything's going down. So when it's zoomed out, it looks pretty good quality. But when you have to zoom all the way in like this on a little blip, you know you're gonna lose a lot of pixelation there. It's gonna be really grainy. So they zoomed in, and you know now it looks like video you see at like a 7-Eleven. It's real grainy. You can kind of make out what's going on. You can see the yellow memorial tent. But again, they admitted there's no real distinguishables here. You're not seeing facial features. You're not seeing the logos of brands on clothing. So it's just a low quality video. But you see at one point in time, you see in the bleachers, you see the yellow tent. It's going to be the center mass of the video. And then they zoom out just a tad so you can see Karmelo come up out of what's like the tunnel of the bleachers. You know, when you come up and you go sit around, he's coming up from under there. You see him come in, he stands there for a few seconds, and then he's walking towards this direction. So the tent's right here. He's walking towards the tent here. He's there at the tent for around 2 minutes. Then eventually you see Austin Metcalf and his 3 or 4 friends who were walking from the middle school where they were visiting their coach for a little bit that morning. They're walking from the opposite direction. So Karmelo's here for 2 minutes. They get there, and then the whole ordeal goes down in like 4.5 to 5 minutes. But under the tent, you got to remember there's a whole team under this tent. You can't see rainfall. All you see is there's people under a tent. They look like these humanoid blobs. You can tell they're human beings, but it's just a bunch of masses, right? You're not looking at who's sitting down, who's standing up, especially if they're intermixed in there. You know, maybe if they're at the front, you can see if they're sitting on the bleachers, but all in the crowd, you can't really see much of anything. And then what the media analyst highlights at one point in time, you see kind of one of these darker figures. There's like a jolt. And so they're saying that was kind of like the push. And then right after that little jolt, you see everyone disperse. And then, of course, they spot shadow. This was Karmelo because the other, I'm sure Memorial's team was in some dark gear because Karmelo had on a gray hoodie type situation. So he was in lighter clothing. Then you see him run off and they spot shadow him. And then you just see a bunch of disbursement. There was no, you don't see 2 hands, 1 hand sitting down, 2 people towering over. There's not really any real identifiables other than there's Memorial tent. Here's a bunch of people under there. This is what they say was a little jolt, what was the push, and then a bunch of disbursement. That's all you really see.
So hold on. Whoa. Back up. Since they want us to play this game and say that we only need to just focus on the video that was given to the jury, and Cody Thompson, he's unbiased. He don't has any, what they say, skin in the game. Well, according to Cody Thompson, he says in the beginning of the video, it's wide shot. You can see everything crystal clear. But then you might as well says Collin County, they distorted the video. Not my account. This is Cody Thompson's account. They distorted the video where they zoomed in, where you can only see human blobs. Hold on, you mean to tell me that Collin County wrongfully convicted this young man and sentenced him to 35 years because of human blobs? That you couldn't tell who was who or who did what? Now, we already heard the accounts of the actual people that saw the video, but today is, for this live, we're going to play that game, and they want us to just focus on this particular video that was played in the courtroom. Bet, I got you. So you mean to tell me that the Collin County jury convicted Karmelo Anthony off of seeing human blobs in the videos, and hold on, he said, and then the camera zoomed out a little bit where you can tell that it was Karmelo Anthony come from one way and the Madcap boys come another way, and then the camera zooms back in where you can't distinguish nothing. Mike Howard, is this what you let the prosecutor, and I'm focused on you today, is this what you let the prosecutor and the judge get over with in the courtroom? And y'all, let me go and tell you this, because you may be at working today or you may not have time to stay with this live, But guess who was it that after Karmelo Anthony was sentenced, after he was found guilty, a guilty verdict was rendered, guess who stood up and asked the judge for immediate sentencing? According to the witnesses that was in the courtroom, guess who asked for immediate sentencing after the guilty verdict was rendered? It was Mike Howard. It was Karmelo Anthony defense lawyer. There's going to be another clip where Vince is going to talk to, I'm going to say, a very famous appellate judge. His name is Bill Wyse or whatever. I showed you the video, and he's saying that should have never happened. You know, that judge, you know what that judge is going to say? He said, I never even heard of a Mike Howard. He said, I don't even know nothing about him. What? Whoa. You mean somebody suggested to the Karmelo Anthony's family for a judge that for a defense attorney that may not have been, where we already know that he was ineffective counsel, that may not have been equipped to proceed or defend Karmelo Anthony's in this case. No. Let's keep playing. But since they want us to play the game regarding the video, that was Cody's Thomas account of the video. Now, let's go ahead and hear what Vincent is going to say to Cody, because Vincent was a prosecutor, right? Now, he's a prosecutor. Let's keep going. And I want to let you know what's going on. It is called video editing, which is against the law. It is called doctoring footage or a doctored video against the law. It was intentionally altered to mislead the jury. It also is called a video manipulation, misleading of evidence, selective editing, because they didn't show the whole entire 11-minute video that all the other people before the video was suppressed and sealed. They said the video, they had an option to watch the 2-minute video or the 11-minute video. Okay, let's keep going. And also it's called tampering with evidence. Why was there a movement of zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, and zooming out, instead of just letting it play? The witnesses said that the video was either in 4K or 5K. Y'all heard Miss Daisy's account of the video that she saw. And according to him, it was clear before they zoomed all the way in, and all the subjects in the video were human blobs. Let's keep going.
Sometimes, and I've seen this in trials, you go through a video and you may play it for different witnesses who were there. And then they, having been there, looking at the video, can kind of describe to you what's happening. Did any of that take place to try to clarify exactly what is going on, and whether or not Karmelo Anthony is surrounded, whether or not a physical confrontation it's you can really tell how forceful the physical confrontation initially is?
I mean, in a very minor capacity, Vinny. I mean, because you got to remember, all of these students that testified under the state said there was no sort of surrounding that was happening. It was described as, this kind of one-on-one thing. And, actually in the closing arguments, the prosecutor was saying, they're trying to say the two brothers or all these multiple people were jumping on him, but on the body cam with the video, once he was apprehended, he was saying, I told him not to put his hands on me, not I told they not to put their hands on me. So that was a big deal in the closing arguments. But there was one student that got up there who was actually on the field warming up. And so you saw an angle of, a couple of kids on the field, and you saw the angle of where the tent was. And what they were trying to do there is kind of talk about how this student's timeline of when he walked over and saw the commotion just didn't add up, and trying to kind of discredit his credibility a little bit. But no students were sitting there saying, yeah, that was me. You see me walking there, and then you see this push, and you see this person to the left, and they're moving up the bleachers. There was none of that real specificity, other than that one student on the field, just to show that his times weren't lining up when he said he walked over there, because they showed that he didn't walk at all when the moment of the stabbing happened.
So none of the witnesses who testified, right? Some of the people that were there didn't testify, but the ones who were called and testified that were under the tent, near the tent, all this, none of them could specifically identify themselves in that video?
No.
Yo, this is how bad the video was. And let me tell you one thing, Keisha, here, I don't know. So just relax. Just relax. If you don't want to be here, please exit the room. This is for a mature audience only and for educational purposes only. So did you just hear him say, or he's about to say, that none of the witnesses could even identify themselves? So you mean to tell me that this is the video, since they want us to play that game, this is the video that they convicted this young man on? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
No, there's one that, because he was kind of off to the side. We're talking under the tent right now where the commotion comes up. And then there's one kid that said, you see me coming over here, but he was very isolated. You know what I mean? He had nothing really to do with the situation happening under the tent, which is, why we were here in the first place. Other than that, none of them were saying, that's me, you see me over here, you see, this is Karmelo right there, they're the Metcalf brothers. The only thing that was really identifiable was when the forensic media analyst showed Karmelo walking to the tent and then showed the Austin Metcalf and the other boys walking to the tent. Once things got to the tent, it was just, yeah, that's a crowd of people. You can't really tell what they're doing. You can't really tell that there's violence, or if it's horse playing, or if it's just people standing in a crowd. You can't really tell anything until they highlighted that little, they zoomed in real hard just to see this little whoop, like that. And they were saying that's the push. And then 3 or 4 seconds after that is when all the, you see kids running in every which way. You see Karmelo run 3 or 4 bleachers up, and that's where the knife was found, about 3 or 4 bleachers up from where the stabbing happened. And you see him run down, and he's running towards the track, and they zoom out, and they show him just running near the fence line. But other than that, no one's sitting there saying, that's me, I was here. It was just their account of what was going on, but not related to the video, because we only watched the video at the beginning of the trial before some of these witnesses took the stand. The video was not played with every single witness.
What?
You know what I mean? So
what?
That wasn't the crux of the direct examination by the state.
What?
Once those student eyewitnesses took the stand.
Okay, so did the defense use the video that way at all? Did the defense show the video to the jury either during argument or during a direct or cross of their own witness or another witness and say, this is where Karmelo is surrounded?
They didn't do that at all. And, there's been a lot of criticism regarding the defense of Karmelo Anthony here with, 6 witnesses, a couple of student witnesses, one of those student witnesses that actually admitted that he believed Karmelo was the aggressor, a defense witness saying that. But the defense didn't use the video in any capacity, which, they didn't do that. They didn't explain even why he had a knife in the first place, which I thought that was something they would try to harp on a little bit, just saying, he had it because he liked to go camping. He had it because, you had to cut nylon if you're setting up the tent. They didn't even touch on why the knife was even there in the first place. Seemed like a lot of missed opportunities and holes in the defense's case, and especially after they ended somewhat abruptly. But to your point, Vinnie, the video was not shown during the defense's case in any capacity.
And did they have any witness, either through their cross-examination or the direct examination of their own witnesses, who described Karmelo Anthony being surrounded or being confronted by a...
So we've heard enough of that particular segment, because like I said, I don't want to keep you forever, but I just want to say, if they want us to focus on the video that was showed to the jury, he was in the courtroom. He's a media analyst. I'm going to call him an analyst. I'm going to give him a proper title without knowing his title. But is that what they convicted Karmelo Anthony over? Blurred footage that was doctored and edited and tampering with evidence. Why they just didn't? So this is a for all the trolls in the room and for everybody that wanted us to look at and consider the video that was played in the courtroom. So if the video started like this, why did they even have to do this and distort the video pixels? Really? Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Now, in this video here, I know you're probably saying, well, he was jumped. It was several boys. I didn't call out these particular terminologies for no reason. Video editing, doctored video, video manipulation, misleading editing, selective editing, fabrication, and tampering evidence. We've heard so many people said it was multiple boys that confronted and jumped on Karmelo Anthony. You know what they did? They removed them from the video that was shown in the jury. Because, you know why I say that? No assumption. He just said the video only showed one person confronting Karmelo Anthony. Hey, I really don't even have to say nothing else. But let's go ahead and let's see what he said. The conversation that I think he had with the judge in Texas, the appealing judge in Texas. Let's go ahead. Since they want us to consider what the jury was given, let's play the game, right? Because this young man's freedom, which is not a game, is on the line. Karmelo Anthony had a bright future. He did everything right in America as a citizen, black or white. And I see your comments in the chats. I never made it a race issue. Collin County made it a race issue. So let's move forward. And yes, thank you, Vesta. I did hear that the judge on the case just quit. I brought that up at the beginning of the live. I have not confirmed that, but I'm also getting information that is true, but I'm waiting for the official headlines to come out. Suspension and disbarment is two different things. It was not fraud. Let's say here. Right. Why not show the actual tool? You know why? I know why. Hold on. I know where I'm at right here. Hold on. I know where I'm at. Hold on. That's the judge. One second. You know why? Because this right here, and I'm going to go over this. You see this block right here? I went to shout outs to Jaguar Wright. I don't know what video this was, and I hope I'm not yelling in your ear. So let me go in and turn down the microphone because I do have a strong voice sometimes. If looking at block right there, that I put that block when I read this video, right? I'm gonna say I read this screenshots of the police statements that was taking over a year. So let me go ahead and blow this up so you can actually probably see the dates of the documents at the top. Let me go to the bottom. Thank you, Jaguar Wright. Look at the date of the police report. And you know why they didn't show? This is my opinion. This is my layman's opinion. The reason why they did not show the actual tool in court. Let me pull my slides up and continue to read in that block. You're going to read that when one of the officers got to the scene, and instead of bringing plastic bags, and he could say, oh, well, it was because of the rain and I had to hurry up and I had to cover the evidence and the crime scene. Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But I think the reason why they did not show, or they're not showing, or did not bring up the actual weapon, because hell, believe it or not, Mike Howard wasn't going to object to anything, so they actually could have brought it. But I'm going to this because they covered the weapon with a tarp. What if the tarp had somebody else's fingerprints on it, or some other, let's say, material that contaminated the weapon? Now, if Mike Howard would have did his job, and like I said, this is on you, Mike Howard, you should have said, no, please bring forth, or please go ahead. What's the terminology that they use in the courtroom? Exhibit A, Exhibit B, or whatever the case may be. I'm hearing that they had almost 100 exhibits, and Mike Howard sit there and ejected to nothing. He sat there and ejected to nothing. Mike Howard let this young boy got railroaded. And you was the one that said, Judge, can we go into immediate sentencing? Mike Howard. And you mean to tell me that the United States Department of Justice is not in looking at this case? But we're going to keep moving forward. But this is why I think that the weapon was not admissible or brought to court, because it could have been some cross-contamination when they laid that tarp over the knife. And y'all, guess what? I think also in this particular screenshot, because I got more screenshots, they said they used Karmelo Anthony book bag to hold down the tarp. Listen, officers, I totally understand you was in a rush job, but good Lord, you couldn't have you couldn't put your body weight on the tarp and have one of your compadres or your co-workers go to the car to actually go get the toolkit that you have in the car regarding gloves and plastic bags. You let a tarp lay over the weapon, and then you use the book bag to actually hold the tarp in place. What are we doing in Collin County? What are we doing? What are we doing in Collin County? But hey, he gonna say I did the best that I can in that situation. Okay, but that's my opinion on why they actually didn't show the actual weapon. Because if Mike Howard would have did the job, he would have said, "Hey, what did forensics say about the weapon?" Now I'm gonna move forward. Now let's go ahead. Take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot of that. I'm gonna try to get you out of here. Let's go ahead to the next clip.
So I was a little surprised when I found out that the judge from the Karmelo Anthony case granted a TV interview. He did an interview with WFAA, spoke about a lot of things, but there was one thing that really caught my attention. Again, this is a TV interview. We have the audio. Let's take a listen.
I have seen from other cases around the country where cameras in the courtroom changed the way that the judge acted, the lawyers acted, some of the witnesses acted, and we were not going to have that here. We were going to really isolate the purpose for which we were here for, which is to have that fair trial, and cameras in the courtroom did not enter into that equation at all.
Objection. Judge arguing facts not in evidence. You know, if you're a judge and the camera's in your courtroom and it changes the way you judge, that's your problem. That's not the problem with transparency. That's a problem with the judge. If a lawyer does anything other than try their case because the camera's in there, that's their problem. That's their mistake. That's their inability to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm surprised. All right, the judge didn't want cameras in the courtroom. I get it. We're going to talk about that, and I always talk about that. But he gave an interview about a case that just ended. Is this normal? Is this what always happens? You know, every state in our union has their own little set of local rules and practices and ethics, etc. So I didn't practice in Texas. So I've got to bring in one of Texas's best.
Oh,
He is a criminal defense attorney, special prosecutor, and probably the best criminal appellate attorney in the state of Texas.
This is about to be good, y'all. Just hold on, be patient.
And Brian Wyse, who I've probably known you longer than any other guest in the history of all my years at CourtTV, Brian.
You know, what I've found doing what we do is never to argue with the host and kind of suck up. So yeah, Vinnie, you couldn't be more correct. Look, you and I have known each other longer than most people have been married. Certainly most of the people that you and I know have been on the air with. A couple of quick takes. Number one, I know Judge Roach. I met Judge Roach when I was a special prosecutor in the Ken Paxton case, investigating and prosecuting the Attorney General, now Republican nominee for junior senator, because that all happened initially out of the Collin County courthouse where this trial was. And I heard nothing but good things about Judge Roach. I maybe even met him at a seminar. But number one, when I talk,
he said, but. So that means that he know of Judge Roach. But he said, but. Y'all listen to what he about to say about Judge Roach.
To judges and lawyers and prosecutors at seminars about dealing with the media, it's one thing for a prosecutor or a defense attorney to go on the air. I don't think there should ever be a case where a judge, the guy that calls balls and strikes and wears the dress and everything, should go on the air unless it's in some educational capacity. And I know what this judge's clip was.
Let me tell you one thing. I see your comment, and I will never, ever give you the attention that you're seeking in this room. But let me tell you one thing. if you think I'm such a, what you said, aunt your mama, baby, I'm one of the most educated aunt your mamas that this world has ever seen. And trust me, if I could cook pancakes in my kitchen, just imagine what I could have did if I had a law degree in the right places. But that's okay. I don't need a law degree because this right here is common sense. And the damage that I'm doing behind this video and this camera and this microphone is going to be so damaging because common sense is wrapped into this right here. So go ahead with your comments. Matter of fact, mods, don't block none of them. Let them go crazy because they're going to have to. When the news come out regarding this case and when the federal government comes in and take this case, or if a special prosecutor or a special investigator, or when this appeal is granted and either this case is thrown out or retried, just remember you became one. You had, first of all, you had to become a scriber to Tony Talks Vested Up to even get your comments in here. So let them breathe today. Let them breathe, but they won't get the attention on this channel. Let's move forward and see what this judge says. So if you call me that, what you gonna call this judge that's about to eat up Judge Roach and his whole proceedings on this case? And that's my disclaimer. And that's my disclaimer.
Was not particularly incendiary. That's the other take. I could not disagree with him more. And again, I think Vinnie, you and I, are cut from the same cloth because we're old CourtTV alums back in 93 and 94. And you make a great point, not just to suck up. If you as a judge, if you as a jurist are in any way, shape, or form impacted or affected by the fact that there's a camera, which is so unobtrusive that I found people forget about it in the first 90 seconds, then you should not be behind home plate in Game 7 of the World Series. You ought to be working at Chick-fil-A. The other thing is that if you are going to let witnesses or advocates play to the camera, and again, the three most cliched things in America, French cuisine, Notre Dame football, and lawyers playing to the camera, nonsensical at best.
It is. You're not playing to the camera. You're playing to the jury. Like, the lawyers are playing to the jury. The jury makes the decision. The jury decides whether they win or lose. That's who they play to. I mean, I've covered, this isn't the first high profile.
So just to give you a summary of this, the reason why Judge John Roach said that he didn't want the cameras in the room is because basically he wouldn't be able to litigate, or the lawyers wouldn't be able to litigate the way that they should. He wouldn't be able to judge and render a verdict the way that he wanted to. And the juries wouldn't be able to, view the evidence the way that he wanted to. So he removed the transparency out of the courtroom. So basically they can do whatever they want to do. Hey, listen. Hey, to all the trolls and all the racists in the rooms that want to come in here with that racist dispute, please look at the demographics of the two men on the camera. Please. This is a prior prosecutor. Demographics is a white male, and this is a current or prior, very well known in Texas. His demographics also is an appellate judge, and oh my gosh, what are we talking about? Even if we take race off the table, and matter of fact, the judge is going to bring up, the appellant judge is going to bring up the Baston ruling that talks about race. The judge going to do that. Come on, Tony Talks, play it. Here we go.
Case that we've covered through the years. There's another one that had sort of the racial tension that this one had, involving a victim named George Floyd. And the judge in that case, Judge Cahill, the state of Minnesota had never had a camera in a courtroom, but Judge Cahill was smart enough, knowing that case for that community and for the nation was important for the nation to see the evidence and hear it so they could understand the verdict and understand the way the evidence went in. And whatever you believed about the evidence in the case, the bottom line was prosecutors won that case. Their expert was amazing. The defense expert was meh. And that made a huge difference in the case. And that's what the transparency showed. And if you don't agree with it, you have a basis to not agree with it because you get to see and hear everything. Will this be a problem? The fact that the judge spoke about a trial right after? My father was a federal judge. And, you know, the rules are you don't talk about any case. You don't talk about any case that still is open to motions and appeals, etc. Judge Belvin Perry in the that case down in Florida involving Kaylee Marie Anthony, the victim, he spoke after he retired, and that was a case where it was a not guilty verdict, so there were no appeals, right? So what are your thoughts there? Is that going to be any sort of a lingering issue potentially, or nothing? It's just more of you know, he decided to do it. Maybe it wasn't in the best taste, but he did it anyway.
I agree. I think hashtag, you know, rookie mistake. In the panoply of potential legal issues that this case involves, and there are a couple of good ones.
No, we're going to talk about those in a minute.
Exactly.
How about this one, though?
Not at all. It was an innocuous, 45-second bite that had nothing to do with the merits, that did not call into question the judge's impartiality, because in addition to talking to lawyers and judges and prosecutors all throughout the country on dealing with the media, one of the other things that I've kind of become like, you know, the expert on, and, you know, remember what Mark Twain said about experts, you know, experts just some guy from out of town, is trial court recusal. And, you know, what will get you bounced, you know, quicker than anything I can think of. And going on the air and talking about a pending case or an issue even likely to come before you. One of the cases that I talk about was, unfortunately, an incredibly tragic case, the Oklahoma City bombing case. And the first federal judge assigned to that case decided that he was going to go on Nightline, a program back in the day that was a pretty big deal with Ted Koppel. And I think most members of this gen are like, Nightline? Is that like a nightlight? And the judge ended up getting recused. Why? Because he evinced a take, if you will, that while not directly impacting a bias or prejudice, certainly in the minds of a member of the public, and this is what the test is, whether a reasonable member of the public on 6th Avenue between 52nd and 53rd, knowing all the facts and circumstances, would have a reasonable doubt about that judge's ability to be fair. Now, Judge Roach's clip, no big deal. Would not, as his consigliere, have advised him to do that, but so what?
Well, so let's get back then to the...
Okay, so that was the end of that clip. I should have warned you. He was a little bit wordy before he got to that part, but he's talking about the clip. He mustn't see the whole entire video regarding the judge, but I'm about to play the next clip where he's going to cover a lot bit more. Now, I think based off what the judge has said, of course, I have reviewed what he said in this particular video. I think John Roach, he did that interview on purpose to recuse himself from the retrial for whatever reasons. But he definitely did that to recuse himself for the next trial. But Honorable Judge John Roach, see, I didn't disrespect your title. It don't matter if you retire. Rumors is he has retired. It doesn't matter if you did this interview to recuse yourself from the next trial. It doesn't matter. You will still and can still get subpoenaed for the next trial. Based off everything that you said in this clip and the whole entire interview, if the next defense attorney, federal attorney, do their job, you should also get subpoenaed too, sir. See how I respected him and his title? Now let's keep going. Let's keep going. This last one here.
Convicted of murder. You're sentenced to 35 years. You probably want to see if you can get a new trial, a second look, a second chance at all this. So, Brian Wyse, you're an appellate expert as well, and that's, anytime I have a question about Texas law, you're on speed dial. I don't know if I still have speed dial, but if I still had speed dial, you'd be on it. Let me start with the first issue that I was shocked by. And again, I didn't get to actually see the testimony because the judge did not allow us to see it. But the reporting is that each eyewitness kind of finished their testimony by saying this was not self-defense. Is that okay? Because I thought that's what the trial was about. And I thought that was the question that the jury had to answer, whether or not it was self-defense. Can lay witnesses in their testimony tell the jury, in their own opinion, that it was not self-defense?
The short answer is they're not supposed to. And this is one of the ironies or oddities, if you will, about the criminal justice system. The only kind of criminal case where a layperson can give the ultimate opinion as to guilt or innocence is, of all things, a DWI case, or DUI, as they say in some states, because everybody knows what intoxication is. Self-defense is a question of law that ultimately the jury decides based on the facts. Now, a witness can testify. You can't, I don't think you should be able to answer a shove with a stab like Bill Worski so ably argued. Or you could say that I believe that Karmelo Anthony had an opportunity to retreat, that is to leave the tent. But I was shocked that these lay witnesses, if you will, were permitted to testify as to the ultimate legal conclusion.
Wow.
That's an issue. But it's interesting because I thought the issue that I thought you were going to lead with is the Batson claim.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I know you want to go there. So, but let's just start here. Is that a big deal? The fact that the witnesses said this was not self-defense, 0 to 10, just give it a number, how big of a deal it is. 7.
On its own, on the merits, it could be a 7. But if I could just kind of throw something in that I think your viewers would want to know about the appellate process. Appellate courts don't sit to review questions of guilt or innocence. They review whether or not the trial was fundamentally fair based on legal rulings that the court made. And there's something called the harmless error rule. And that's because nobody's perfect. We recruit all the participants, the judge, the prosecutor, the defense lawyer, the witnesses, the cops, from the human race, which means there's going to be human error. And so there are going to be mistakes. And because the Constitution doesn't entitle you, not even in New Jersey, to a perfect trial, you're entitled to a fair one. So I believe that while that could be classified as a legal mistake that we call error, ERROR, an appellate court could find that based on the allegedly overwhelming evidence that it didn't impact the outcome of the proceeding. But again, that's a potential issue. Make no mistake.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was a big issue because it wasn't just one witness. It was like witness after witness after witness. So let's get to what you thought my lead was going to be.
Okay.
And I was debating between the two.
The appellate judge just said, because he knows John Roach, so he don't want to say, yes, that is definitely a major issue. But he did label that a number 7 out of 10, right? Ooh, okay. And the prosecutor, this man here with the red background, he used to be a prosecutor, and he said that was a major issue. They know they shouldn't have asked no 17-year kids. Did they think that it was murder or self-defense? We're talking about kids. Prosecutor, Bill Wyse, is that what your name was? Why you didn't bring in an expert to determine or say if it was murder or self-defense? Y'all already know why he didn't bring in no experts. And if that was despicable, come to find out, Mike Howard brought in no expert witness for Karmelo Anthony. Wow. And guess what? This judge, for all of the racist folks in here that say that, hey, we're making it all about race. Once again, look at the demographics. Look at the demographics. The judge, the appellate judge with the red tie, he's going to say something about Mike Howard at the end of this clip. And let me go and play this so you can hear what he said about what Mike Howard did to this family and Karmelo Anthony. Come on, Tony. Let's go. Let's go.
The fact that there were no black jurors, and you talked about Batson challenges. Let's talk about that. What's going on there? Is that a real issue in this case at the appellate level?
Woo. That is, as we say in journalism, that's the lead that you don't want to bury.
That's the lead you don't want to bury. Uh-oh. Collin County got too aggressive and messed up. Let's get going.
Oh, that enough of your viewers have probably binge watched Law and Order or seen you on the air talking about what Batson is. But Batson comes from, I believe, a 1984 Supreme Court case called Batson versus Kentucky, and that has been modified over the years, that essentially says that while a prosecutor can exercise as many challenges for cause as he or she can, that is based on a juror's inability to follow the law, that they can only exercise their peremptory challenges for reasons that are not related to race or for any racial reason or for any racial pretext. So what in essence this case presents, is I understand it because again, I followed it, but I followed it on, this device right here, is that there were 3 black potential jurors, what we call veneer members in Texas, who were struck by the prosecutor peremptorily, meaning for no reason at all. Is based on their 10 that both sides get in Texas in a felony. And once the defendant, in this case, Mr. Anthony and Mr. Anthony's lawyers, make what we call a prima facie case. Judge, on the record outside the jury's presence, now that the jury's seated, I want to note for the record there are no African-American jurors. And I want the court to note for the record that the prosecutor exercised X number of challenges on black jurors. At that point, the court will say, fine, the defendant has made a prima facie case. Mr. Worski, I want you to tell the court for the record why you struck those black jurors. And my understanding is that they were struck because I think they were not necessarily teachers, but educators who might have felt sympathy for a 17-year-old kid if they're around 17-year-old kids all the time. Now, once that happens, the prosecution has initially rebutted that claim that you used your challenges improperly. It's then incumbent upon the defense attorney, and this is where it's tricky. You have to show that potential jurors, veneer members, who were similarly situated to these 3 black educators who were struck, were not struck and they were white. So my understanding is that there were white veneer members who may have been teachers or educators who were not struck. If that's the only reason, I love that issue.
That's a home run, right? So you have black teachers, white teachers. Prosecutors get rid of the black teachers, but don't get rid of the white teachers. And then all of a sudden, their reasoning for getting rid of the potential black jurors kind of falls by the wayside because you didn't. Everything else is the same.
Exactly.
The fact of what the color of their skin is.
Right. And the word that we use, you use the legal expression "falling apart," which I like. It's called a pretext. That basically this is, BS. And I have one back.
All right, 0 to 10, give me a number because I have one more issue I want to get.
Here we go.
8 or 9.
That's
okay,
high.
so that's a big one. That's a big one. All right, the final one. Everyone talks about this all the time.
So just a summary. That Baston rule when he struck down all the black juries, quote unquote, because they was educators or teachers and they felt that they could have a bias against Karmelo Anthony. When they allow the white teacher, educator in, one of the biggest mistakes they ever could have did. Huge mistake. Severe mistake. Collin County. You won't notice. Now, let's go ahead and let the good judge, since they said take emotions out of it, listen to the court, don't listen to social media personnel, listen to lawyers and judges, appealing judges, and people that belongs and is actually licensed were prosecutors. And now they're doing social media, such as Good Vince here. He was a prosecutor. And this young man right here, that young man right here, he's still practicing appellate law. I'm going to mess up those words. Law in Texas. So if they wanted us to focus on the legalities of this case, I have already punched holes in their videos just off of knowledge that I gained in college. And I'm not even a defense attorney, CSI. Hey, I want y'all to catch this name right here in those reports. And another report right here, CSI Dillard for Collin County. CSI Dillard, I bring up his name because I saw his name in a police statement where he confiscated the clothing of Austin Metcalf at the hospital. Him and his office in Collin County or wherever he's from, CSI Dillard, no first name, Dillard, where is the knife? Did you run forensics on the knife? Was it multiple sets of prints on the knife? And also, y'all, guess what? That could be another reason why they didn't show the knife, because fingerprints should have been in question, or materials, questionable material, what could have been on the knife, and what if it was several fingerprints on the knife? And y'all, there is a document that I got in my possession. I got to look for it, but it says that the knife, and this is true, the police officer put in there that the knife was not fully open. A police officer wrote and document in his own police record and statements that the knife was not fully open. I'm going to go to a next slide, and while this good judge continued to talk for all the racist people in the room. Come on, Judge.
I know some lawyers don't like it. Ineffective assistance of counsel.
I knew. Look at you.
Listen.
You know, my dad used to say when I would answer a question, you didn't think I could answer. He'd say, "You just look like you don't know anything." Well, Vinnie, mazel tov. I thought that was beyond your keen, as we say. That's a great question, and this is why. I have done, as an appellate lawyer and post-conviction writ lawyer over 4.5 decades, a bunch of ineffective assistance, motions for new trial, direct appeals, and post-conviction writs, including a death penalty case that I won 20 years ago in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Listen.
Let me tell you what the problem is that lawyers like me who involve themselves in ineffective assistance cases are basically like internal affairs, like the shoe flies, the rat squad. Why? Because what you're doing is you're claiming that defense attorneys are morons, prosecutors are cheaters, and judges are ignoramuses. And as you can tell, I can tell by that Jersey smirk, it's going to make you a widely popular guy. You're going to be as popular as P. Diddy. And so it's a very touchy subject, particularly one, high-profile case, two, racial element, three, I don't know about the lead lawyer, this guy named Mike Howard, who we can talk about in a minute.
What?
But second chair counsel is a guy who I know, who I've lectured with, who I've put on CLEs, a guy named Toby Shook. And when he was a prosecutor...
just mind you, he said he don't know that much about Mike Howard. So where did Mike Howard come from? He said he don't know nothing about Mike Howard. He's been in Texas over 40 years. He just said, I really don't know that much about Mike Howard. And Toby Shook, however you pronounce his name, if y'all don't know, he's actually, if you were old enough to remember the James Byrd case that happened in Jasper County, why Karmelo Anthony was in between Mike Howard, who was acting more as the executor because he brought up immediate sentencing after the verdict was rendered, and Karmelo Anthony was sitting beside Toby Shook, who actually got off the white defendants that did that to James Byrd in Jasper, Texas, over 20 plus years ago. Karmelo Anthony was sitting between ineffective counsel from Mike Howard, who this judge don't even know of, and he's been in Texas for 40 years, and the same defense attorney that fought for and got acquitted. Those two, I'm sorry, let me remove race. Those two gentlemen that drug James Byrd behind that truck in Jasper County over 20 plus years ago. So for all the trolls in the room, we are eliminating the racial element. But did you just hear the good judge says that racial element is a big part of this case? Let me go ahead and let the judge speak, y'all. And you know what? Yeah, I'll say that for later. Come on, Judge.
In the Dallas County DA's office, he was a legend. He was a cult figure. And it's a small world after all, sound bites from this trial that he and Bill Worski go back forever. And they were special prosecutors in an incredibly high profile case right down Interstate 35 from this courthouse. where a judge and his wife were killed in Collin County. So they've been together. They've been on opposite sides. I think Toby's a great lawyer. I'm not sure how much Toby actually did in this case. Again,
nothing,
because there were no cameras in the courtroom. Mike Howard, I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to opine. But I know this.
Woo, listen.
With all of the money that the defendant and mom and dad were able to amass via Kickstarter, GoFundMe, whatever it was, and there was a lot.
Listen.
There are other lawyers, not just in the Metroplex, but within Texas, who I would have hired. Mike Heisel, probably pound for pound, not just one of the best lawyers in Texas, who also happens to be, coincidentally, African-American and from Fort Worth, or lawyers from my part of the state, Dan Cogdill, Ken Schaefer, Derek Consworth, Rusty Harden. Those are the guys who I think the call probably should have gone out to. But to your point about ineffective assistance, let me tell you what point 1 under ineffective assistance is. Well, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to be the host. Vinnie, thanks for joining us today. What do you think the best claim of ineffective assistance is that Karmelo Anthony's new lawyer will have?
Did not prepare for the punishment phase.
Oh, my God.
Presented no case.
Golf clap. You're
So I got it right. Hit
it out of the ball. Hit it in the Crawford boxes. No question. And I think anybody who, again, wasn't in the courtroom but followed the case knew that. My understanding is that they called mom, asked her a couple of questions, and then said, thanks for being on the show. I have been successful. I've been blessed over however many years of winning a number of cases, and serious cases, including Galen Walby, the only then death row inmate from Galveston, in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is kind of like climbing Everest in your shorts, based on the failure to investigate and prepare for punishment stage. This is why this matters, and this is why I like it with a but that we'll talk about in a minute. What most lawyers don't understand is that most cases are punishment cases, that the defendant in a felony case is the visiting team down by 3 scores in the first period. Full stop. And if you have not prepared for the eventuality, for the virtual certainty of a punishment hearing, then again, you've got no business in a courtroom. That means lining up a smorgasbord, a cavalcade, a panoply of mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, coaches, teachers, people who knew this kid best. Number one. Number two is I also think this kid's 17. And what we like to tell jurors in a situation where we've got a youngster is that our lives are motion pictures. They're not snapshots. Right. Do not judge this 17-year-old kid whose brain may not be fully formed on the worst day of his life, which means you need a...
Did a white judge says that this black kid, you shouldn't judge this black kid in a snapshot in his life? Did a white judge just say this about Karmelo Anthony? Hey, let me go here. Let me go ahead and bring this up while I play this right here. When he's talking about the brain, and then, it's going to be, I'm going to have to come back tonight because I don't want to hold you that long. When he's talking about the brain, he's talking about what the state, United States Supreme Court, hint, hint, a federal court, United States Supreme Court, what they said about juveniles under 17 when it comes to crimes. Mike Howard, you didn't even refer to the 3 cases that is that it? No, that's regarding perjury. We're gonna go back and talk about the witnesses because that's Texas Penal Code 3702 and 3703. Since they want us to focus on the law of Texas, this is what Texas law is regarding perjury. Oh my gosh, what did them young kids do? What did them young kids do to their own future and lives by getting up there on the witness stand and lying like that and signing those affidavits when they said that nobody jumped Karmelo Anthony? What did them kids do? But let me go ahead and play this, and you can take a screenshot of the screen that I'm going to show you. Come on, Judge.
You sit this kid down with a shrink, a psychologist or psychiatrist, to talk about
there you go.
How he's young, what he may have thought was reasonable, and how the best cure for crime is old age. To me,
and the bottom line for that is, listen, you're not arguing for innocence at that point. What you're doing is trying to mitigate the damage, mitigate the punishment, and get him sentenced to something less than 35 years and closer to, I don't know, 10 or 15.
Exactly. And that's a great point. And this is what's key. In Texas, we have a system involving murder versus manslaughter. And so back in the day before the law changed like 25 years ago, a jury manslaughter is a separate crime with a separate punishment range of 2 to 20. The legislature said, now let's just make it a punishment issue. So you get found guilty of murder during the guilt innocence stage, and then at punishment, you get what's called a special issue. If you find from the evidence that the defendant acted as a result of sudden passion arising from an adequate cause, that is the kind of response that anger, rage, terror, or resentment would bring in an ordinary person. Can't believe I remember that. Then this is manslaughter, and the penalty range is 2 to 20. While you can litigate that, and generally do litigate that during guilt innocence, you can also litigate it during the punishment stage. I didn't see anything at all, nothing, zero, zip, nada, that was related at all to the special issue. And when you have a cap on 20, it's a lot different than a cap on 99 or life.
Yes, sir.
Big.
Yes, sir.
Big.
Y'all, oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Court TV and Judge Bill Wyse. I think that's what his name was. Thank you so much. Wow. Look at the demographics that I just played. They weren't black. They wasn't African American. They wasn't B1. They wasn't the foundational Black Americans. What? On this good and beautiful Juneteenth day of 2026. Happy Juneteenth. And happy Juneteenth to you also, Karmelo Anthony. You have strangers. You have armies. You have people that you may never even run across that is fighting for you and the justice that you deserve. This is what? Oh my gosh. So let's keep going. Okay, hold on. Okay, I hope you got a screenshot of that. I want to go over these next little slides, and I want to do, what time is it? What time is it? 1:27. I got 30 minutes, and I would definitely be coming back tonight because I got so many clips, and I want to make sure that I cover everything that I saw in other podcasters that needs to be brought to the light. Shout outs to, like I said, Keisha, keep doing, keep pushing, keep bringing these personnel on your platforms. And shout out to you also, No Captivity, Rick Frenzy. Keep doing what you doing. Keep doing what you doing. And every podcaster and everybody that's in the comment sections under everybody videos, keep doing what you doing. Keep doing what you doing. This case is getting momentum that they never even seen coming. Let me go here. Let me bring this up right here. Come on with it. Come on with it. Now, I want to bring this up here, right? And I know y'all probably seen her on TikTok or whatever. So take a screenshot so you can read it. But I want to highlight the first section on the left-hand side. I think that's left-hand side on your screen. When they said that Hunter Metcalf was not there, this is actually supposed to be allegedly a written statement that came out of the courtroom. The witness said Hunter Metcalf was right to his brother Austin, which is contrary to what other witness has said in testimony, right? That alone, her head is in the way. But hey, for everybody that has said that Hunter Metcalf was not at the scene that day, that's a lie. In my last live, I went back and found the interview of Hunter Metcalf last year. That's still, I'm surprised it's still out there on social media. He gave an account of being there on the scene. And remember, he said his brother passed away in his arms. So right there alone, if Hunter Metcalf was not at the scene, how could he even describe that he was holding his hand over the wound to stop the bleeding if he wasn't there? How can he say that, quote unquote, his brother passed in his arms? Even Hunter said the medical personnel, when they arrived on the scene, they pushed him out of the way because they had to start working on Austin. who they brought back alive at the stadium. They brought him back alive at the stadium. And they transported him to the hospital where he succumbs to his injury, which was only a 2-inch puncture wound. And the knife is stated to be 3.5 inches. Once again, this is the same utility tool that has a knife, flashlight, a corkscrew, and everything that TSA allows on planes. And the knife was not even fully open. We already heard that. Now let's go to the second screenshot. Okay. Austin leans in to push him and Karmelo stabs him. Everybody that has seen that tape has stated that Austin failed onto the object. Now, if the medical examiner has stated, because I think I got that too, that the puncture wound, he didn't say stab. He said the puncture wound was 2 inches long. 2 inches. 2 inches. But the knife was 3.5. That means Karmelo didn't do this, because the whole entire thing would have went into the flesh. Austin didn't do that. I'm saying Karmelo didn't do that, because the whole entire thing would have went in there. So you know what I think that happened? And this is my theory. I think, and they said Austin didn't even move. He was still sitting when the puncture wound occurred. And based off what Cody Thompson said, you really can't even see what happened, because they zoomed in and all you saw was blobs of bodies. He said you couldn't even see not even one hand or two hands. And you mean to tell me once again that the verdict convicted that young man over a video that you couldn't tell what was going on in the video? Just by that alone, the federal government can come in and take over this case, and also especially intervene in this case. Even if the federal government intervene in this case, that is proof of, by doing this right here, zooming in, zooming out, and altering a video that was used in a criminal case that led to a guilty verdict. That alone, the federal government can come in. The video was altered, misedited, and tampered with evidence, and under malicious intent. So once again, if you're just coming in, if they wanted us to focus on that video that Cody Thompson, the media analyst, I'm gonna call him the media analyst from CourtTV, ain't no way that Karmelo Anthony or anybody else should have been convicted off that video. That video should have been removed out of the evidence catalog. You can't see nothing. You can't see nothing. And you mean to tell me they used that evidence, that video, to commit Karmelo Anthony? Let's keep going. Now, let's keep going. So yeah, I really think the witness said, to describe the push, said it was not a light shove or a hard shove. It was in between. So you mean to tell me, so Karmelo Anthony didn't do this, right? He didn't do this, and he didn't do this. But you tell me it was a push that went in 2 inches? Karmelo Anthony was 135 pounds. He didn't have this with a push, just a push. No, it was Austin's weight that came down on that object. And you know why it didn't go, if I haven't said this before, my conclusion, my theory, you know the reason why it didn't go down 3.5 inches into Austin's body is because when he went down to punch or hit Karmelo Anthony and he felt that, he jumped back. That's why it didn't go down the whole entire 3.5 inches. Have you ever been accidentally stuck before and you jerked back? That's what Austin did. That's why it only went 2 inches deep. God, and I'm not even a defense attorney. I'm not CSI. I took a CSI class. I will say this. Did you get a copy of my transcripts? I took several CSI classes and forensics biology classes. And That's why they don't want the autopsy to come out. If you don't know, the autopsy is sealed now. The video is sealed. The evidence is sealed. Everything is sealed now. Yeah. But that's why it was only a 2-inch puncture wound and not a 3.5. When Austin went down accidentally, he didn't know that. And like I said, the police officer said the knife wasn't even fully open, but it was only open enough for 2 inches to go and penetrate his skin. And when he felt that, he jumped back. It was like a pinch. Y'all, it was a pinch. And Karmelo Anthony, once again, was defending himself. They doctored that video where it only showed one person confronting Karmelo Anthony. Let's keep going to the next one. And then I'm gonna let y'all go. Let's keep going to the next one. But I want to play 2 clips from last night, from 2 o'clock this morning with No Cap for Freezing. Then I come back tonight and play the other ones if you want to hear that. So here we go. What? Here we go. Let's go to the first screenshot. Let's see. Oh, they got 1 p.m. at the top. This defense attorney Toby Shook. That's the one I said that is he was the one that defended the 2 men. We're gonna remove the race element. The 2 young men that drug James Byrd behind that truck in Jasper County. Look it up. He was their defense attorney and they got off. But he is the one sitting on Karmelo Anthony's side as a defense attorney that didn't do nothing. Bet. Gotcha. Let me see, is there anything in that other picture I want to pull out? Nope. But I definitely want to go to the second one that says 2 p.m. And we're going to start at the first line after 2 p.m. It says, the state next witness is Collin County medical examiner, Dr. Elizabeth Ventura. Now, like I said, allegedly, these are transcripts from the people that was in the courtroom. So here we go. But I need to look her up, Elizabeth Ventura. The Metcalf's parents have left the courtroom along with several others because they didn't want to see the autopsy or hear about the description of the body. Totally understand that. Here we go. Dr. Ventura did an autopsy on Austin Metcalf. She told educational purposes only. She told the jurors that the stab wound was on the left side of his chest, perfoliated, if I said that right, his sternum and the right ventricle. The knife wound was 2 inches deep. That's all. And of course, I can't see all the other stuff in the picture, but hey, 2 inches deep. But the knife was 3.5 inches. Austin failed on that knife, but they're not going to let that out. But I want to play some other clips from last night. Then I'm going to let y'all go, investors and viewers, okay? And I'll be back late tonight. Let me go ahead and play this right here. Last night. Okay, I'm gonna start from the back. Here we go. And this is coming from No Cap with Frenny. Okay, let's see what this says. This is a 3-minute video.
Maybe they're saying that being that the defense
did not present certain things in the lower court, it may not be considered in the appeal.
They won't be able to consider it during the appeal process
during the appeal process, right?
Yeah, because the defense,
right.
What they didn't present a lot of important information that they should have presented. Maybe that's what as Gabe was saying.
But it's also depending on the route that his appeals attorneys are going, right? Because there's different routes to get there. Now, let's say if he does like maybe get granted a new trial, I know sometimes it's hard to get a new trial if you don't have new evidence. So because if we're thinking this logic, there's a lot of evidence that wasn't presented that could possibly be presented in a lower court if he gets a new trial. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on the route, I think, that they go on with the appeals.
As Gabe said, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I just want to make sure we understand your question, right? Because it's important. But to be honest with you, with the appeal process, if it's a new trial, if he gets presented a new chance to present his case, there's going to be new lawyers, right? So they will be able to present new evidence and all that kind of stuff. Mike Howard and Toby Shook is not his attorneys anymore. So when you got new attorneys taking this case, right? If his appeal goes through, which it will, and the appellate court deems that the process was, they found flaws in the initial process, and then they grant them a new trial, I think they will be able to present a whole nother case, a new case, with the new trial. Let me see.
But the prosecution won't be able to bring that same case because they didn't bring anything. It's going to hurt the prosecution, right, Nick Nat? Yeah, it really will, because they brought emotion and policy. They did not show that he intentionally and knowingly,
right?
I was going to say unalived,
Facts.
Killed Austin Becker,
right?
In my opinion.
That's why I heard a lawyer on Fox News, actually, which is a right-wing platform, said, I think the lawyer said, from his experience, they gave Karmelo Anthony a get-out-of-jail-free card. By how the prosecution handled the case. Yes, they convicted him, but the way they convicted him in the process, from this jury selection all the way down to the end of the trial, that lawyer on Fox News said, this is a classic case of getting this is just a rookie mistake. He said that the prosecution made a lot of rookie mistakes, and this is a easy get out of jail free card for Karmelo. It is a white lawyer said that on Fox News, said that. Let me see.
I'm gonna hit now. Thank y'all so much for having.
Okay, so this the video, the live that No Captivity with Frenchie lasted over 5 hours last night. So these clips are small, but these were the main clips that I heard. Okay, let me go and play the next one. So that was at the end of the live, so I'm going backwards. So listen to this, y'all.
Allowing this.
No. That is from this morning. Let me play the next one.
It's a part of the bribe, scholarships and all that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, that was the rumor.
It's not. So the ones that I know that was talking about their scholarships and their commitments had nothing to do with that.
Okay. Thank you, Nick Nack. This is one leak. Malika, $45. Malika said, if it was a multi-tool, then Austin had to have failed on it, because it really is really difficult killing and stabbing someone with that. People survive people survive multiple stabs.
Yep.
And that's a fact. People survive multiple stabs. If it was a multi-tool, Austin had to have failed on it. And me just processing that before I talked to anybody weeks ago, I said, Karmelo did not purposely just stab Austin like as if he was intently trying to, murder someone. It had to be some. You back, Queen?
My bad. I'm sorry. They made. I'm so smoking a cigarette. Look, but they made it seem like that in court. Y'all remember when they was asking Jalen how did it happen, and he had him sit down. Remember the prosecutor was sitting in the seat, and then Jalen was standing up and pushed him, and the prosecutor said, they made it seem like that. Yeah,
they made Karmelo look like Chucky, y'all. Like he was just
really
yes, like he was Chucky. Jason, who else be carrying them big ass knives? That's how they made Karmelo look in court. And they called out Jose. Jose, when he demonstrated how it happened, they was like, you stood up, but you testified. Karmelo was sitting down the whole time, and he was like, well, yeah. So nobody saw it happen. Nobody saw it, because unfortunately, I think Austin, when he went to push him, it did a one back and forth motion, like the medical examiner said, and that's why it didn't go all the way. It only created a 2-inch wound.
What?
A defensive wound.
The prosecutor. Go ahead.
No, because I was going to keep going. Y'all, you know I get to testify. Go ahead, Auntie.
Yeah, the prosecutor painted Karmelo like he went there just to stab someone. He, left his house and he came there to poke someone.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And I'm like, as many people he passed on the way to the bleachers, he couldn't find nobody to poke.
Keep talking, sisters.
He went in the tent asking about the weather. When he sat next to Chris, he asked Chris if he could sit next to him. He said, "Can I sit here?" And then he started talking about the weather. He was like, "This weather is crazy, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Like they act like he came in just talking quote unquote recklessly. No, he was talking about the weather.
Now, if you don't know what the prosecutor was doing when they was describing Karmelo Anthony in that factor, even though the video showed different, y'all, first degree murder is one of the hardest charges to bring forth and get a guilty plea on. Reason being, you have to show premeditation and intent. Well, Karmelo Anthony don't even have a criminal or background or a bad behavior background, right? So the prosecutor, they had to create this image of Karmelo Anthony leaving his house, grabbing the tool, just intending out of all people to do what he did to Austin Mad Cow. It was the prosecutor that created this image for the jury because he had to in order to get a first degree charge guilty verdict. Without that imagery, without painting that picture, you ever heard and you saw them on the movies, they gotta paint a picture, they try to describe the scenes and whatever. This prosecutor was describing something that didn't even exist, but he had to because he knew without that image of that descriptions and all those averages that he used to describe Karmelo Anthony, that first degree charge was gonna fall on his face. Do your research. But that's why he had to describe that. And these two ladies here, Nick Nack and Queen 081, they was actually in the courtroom. So this is their how can I say it? Testimony of what they saw and heard throughout the days of the court case. Come on with it.
Why can't people see that? That's criticizing his.
I don't know.
Because their implicit bias won't let them.
This y'all said Tony talks. Let's know, why did you bring that up? Oh, remember when I talked about the federal government getting involved, intervening in this case and the federal takeover? Well, you know what? It's been some hate speech down there. They say even last year the Proud Boys pulled up in Collin County, and the people outside of the courtroom, one that got arrested, was speaking with hate crime undertones. And just by that alone, ain't hate crimes against federal law? But let's keep pushing. So that was that video there. Let's see here. Hold one. Anthony was stoic. That's not the case. He bawled. And y'all, maybe this is the one, because you remember how people said that his parents was not in the courtroom? There's a reason why his parents was not in the courtroom. His parents was not in the courtroom because they didn't want to be in the courtroom. They got removed before the verdict. Hold on. I'm finding that video. I'm trying to get to that video right now. Hold one.
All I said, did they claim to show actual tool Karmelo used?
Here go to actual tool.
So I think we answered that earlier. I heard it was just an example of the tool, not the actual tool, because they didn't use gloves or anything, right? According to.
But they showed the picture of it, though. Y'all remember that?
It was a replica. They showed a picture. But they showed the picture. But when he pulled it out, it was a replica because he said he didn't feel like using gloves.
Right.
GT Massive, $20. Thank you for the $20, GT Massive. GT Massive said, "This is a worthy stand. Bless all who assist my brothers." Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Okay, I'm getting to it.
So you said that Michael Howard said to go ahead and move forward with the sentencing. Because we outside like, what the? I didn't know that till you just said that.
Listen.
We outside what? Listen, damn, he just got convicted. What you doing?
Yeah.
He didn't
He
know.
said he just, just wanted to go ahead and get it done today.
Own defense attorney.
Or that day.
His own defense attorney is not giving him time to gather himself together and build his family. See, now I'm getting mad. I'm at the long loss. Give him time to his family. Now you want to go ahead and sentence him. That's a jewel right there.
Oh, did Mike Howard say that?
Yeah, it was Mike Howard. I remember him standing up and he said he however you say it, like, move forward to sentencing. And, they didn't object.
They took them people money, man. They just took their family's money, and
I want to get to the one about the parents being removed from the courtroom.
Cortez said that they use it as a tool themselves to cut open seatbelts.
Oh, here you go. The police officer.
So
Officer Riley said the same thing. He said it was a tool, and he said it's not illegal for him to have it.
And we need to start calling it a tool.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure I call it a tool. I was calling it a tool, but they was trying to make us believe that it was a knife in court, but it actually is a multi-tool. That's actually what it is. Yeah. Yep. So everybody that's watching, let's stop calling this object a knife. Let's call it what it is. It's a multi-tool. So when people ask, well, why did he have a knife? He didn't have a knife. He had a multi-tool that's used for different purposes, which makes sense why a teenager would have that. Right? Yes, exactly. That makes sense on how you can sharpen your cleats and everything. Exactly. Yes. Like what Queen said. So shout out to you, Askabe. Also, let's see. Shout out to Nisi, $2. Nisi said, was his parents in court for the sentencing?
Here we go.
I was told no, but Nick, were you in there?
Listen to what they did to the parents.
For sentencing, I ended up, remember I left after the verdict because I couldn't take him crying. But I do know, so they were not in the room for sentencing, but it wasn't because they didn't want to be. So they were taken by security to another location, and they didn't know what was going on because we were all kind of waiting. So they didn't know that court had started back, and they weren't able to get in after it started, but they were taken by security. They were taken to another location by security. Mm-hmm. So they weren't there, but they weren't there because they didn't want to be.
So y'all, that's why the family, the mother and father of Karmelo Anthony was not there. Security removed them from the room, and they could not get back in or was not allowed back into the courtroom because at that time, and I think she's about to go into that. It took 30 minutes for the verdict, and then I'm gonna let y'all go, Vestas. They didn't want the parents in there because they knew that the verdict had came down, and they knew what any parents would have done. Yeah, let me keep playing this.
Oh, I cried too.
I dropped to my knees. But kid, I would like, because we, like you said, we have to start humanizing them. Can you tell the people when they gave him the verdict what he did? That's what made me break down when she told me that. I was through.
What did he do, Nick Nat?
And I was sitting directly behind the Metcalf family.
Listen, y'all.
So at first I thought it was like maybe one of them crying, but then I caught eyes with most of them, like how much as I could, and they were mostly like smiling, like happy. But I heard this this really loud cry, and where I was sitting, I could see his face. And I tell people all the time, I heard Karmelo cry before I heard him speak, and he was crying. I mean, wailing, and I could see him like turning to Michael Howard, just kind of doing his hands like this, like he didn't understand why. And he was just crying. He put his hands in his head, and he was just like, and it was like this cry that honestly, y'all, is still haunting me, and honestly, the motivation for me to keep fighting for him. Even though some of my family's mad at me, and it's like, respectfully, I get it. We're not going to always see eye to eye, but I know what I saw in that courtroom, and hearing him cry was just something that I really wish I never heard. It was a pain that I never wanted to hear from anyone. Michael Howard asked if he could take him out, And Judge Roach Jr. Was like, he just was convicted of murder. He is basically like the property of the state now. Like he can't go anywhere because Karmelo was like really just, he was distraught. I left after like I was able to. I found like a small window where I could leave because they did ask to move to punishment, to sentencing. Michael Howard asked like, could they just go ahead and move forward with that? And I was like, you know what?
I think Mike Howard knew that this case was going to be orchestrated. It was railroaded. It was orchestrated, and he was going to take that money. That's why Mike Howard, and I'm going to say my opinion, that's why Mike Howard, he rushed. He asked for immediate sentencing because he was going to take that money and run. Mike Howard did not want to come back to Collin County, and by that time, if they would have delayed sentencing and had that mob, that's what they said. They was going to call it a mob. That's what Judge Roach said. He didn't want the mob in his courtroom. That's why they didn't have the cameras, according to Judge Roach, right? But Mike Howard, that's why he wanted immediate sentencing. He requested that because he knew he had already secured that money and he was about to leave town. Where is Mike Howard? Where is Mike Howard? So you mean to tell me that the dad, Jeff Metcalf, has done an interview? That's gonna be evidence to give show proof of the young man's mentality, especially regarding Black Americans. Woo, the father just did some damage in that. And then we even heard from the great Judge John Roach, who by that interview alone has recused himself from any type of litigations in the future proceeding over the case. But Mike Howard, where's Mike Howard? Imagine the money that he got off this case, because the family didn't get it. What's the thing called? Send me go, or whatever the funds were. They sent out statements recently that funds were distributed for two reasons: to pay for lawyer fees and relocations. Mike Howard got that money, and Mike Howard didn't want to come back to Collins County for that sentencing. That's why he requested that judge over his own client that he railroaded. Didn't request no experts to come in. Didn't request. Remember when the appealing judge say he would have had a slew, a smorgasbord of people to stand up and speak on Karmelo Anthony, because by default you're supposed to be prepared for a punishment ruling, right? He didn't do none of that. Mike Howard took that money on purpose and ran. Mike Howard did all this on purpose for whatever reason. Mike Howard, you should be disbarred, and you also should be your license should be taken away from you, disbarred, and you should have criminal charges brought up on you also. You let that weak evidence convict Karmelo Anthony, and you didn't object over nothing. You heard what Cody Thompson said. Mike Howard didn't even refer to the video. You know why he couldn't refer to the video? And you know why he didn't refer to the video, y'all? Because just like Cody Thompson said, you couldn't see nothing on the video. So why would Mike Howard even go up there and commit perjury himself when he's trying to identify people? You couldn't even see hands, feet, or nothing. He said you just saw a joke. My gosh, my Lord. Good information. And as you know, I'm going to continue to dig on this happy Juneteenth weekend, because there's no rest as long as Karmelo Anthony is behind bars, wrongly convicted and accused, and ineffective legal counsel, and the Baston rule and the prosecution case. I'm not resting, y'all. I'm not resting. So until next time, I couldn't get through all of your comments, but until next time, make sure you get your notes, your drink, and your vest, because we stay vested up over here 365 degrees at Tony Talks Vested Up Compelling Sports Edge. Karmelo Anthony supposed to be in college, either on a track team or a football team. This young man's life and freedom and future has been temporarily halted, but we're going to get him out of that jail. But like I said in the beginning, just be patient. Let the appeal lawyer and the private lawyer, once the family hire one, if they already have one, take their time and go through this evidence, because we don't want them to rush through this thing, this appeal process, and it falls through because all the documents, motions, any of the evidence got left out. We just don't want them to rush this, just like Collin County rushed this case against Karmelo Anthony. Okay, so y'all just continue to pray for this family, and especially Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony, stay up, young man. Stay up, young man. So, investors and viewers, I'll see you either tonight or tomorrow morning. Thank you, investors and viewers. Thank you.